Live from the westernunion.com VIP lounge.
Wild 94.9, the Bay's #1 hit music station. I'm TRUTHLiVE, Rebel Pop Radio, Wild Style DJ. And to the right of me, we have Miss Aluna of AlunaGeorge, half of the duo emerging. How are you doing today?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
I'm doing very well. Thank you for being here. We appreciate having you, while you're on the ascension, so to speak.
Yeah, loving San Fran at the moment.
Is this your,
SF, I'm sorry.
as people start to familiarize themselves with you and the group, I'm not sure everybody does realize that it's a duo. Like, they probably obviously go to the vocalist and who's up in front and center. Could you kind of give us a little bit of an origin story of Aluna George?
Yeah, me and George met in 2010, and at the time we were just experimenting. We were just seeing what kind of things we could get up to in the studio musically. And we were just really enjoying how we worked. Our working process seemed to be very fluid, and we would share, lots of the different aspects to writing a song really easily without too much discussion. Just like grab a cup of tea, get down to it. And it was just, that's how we started out.
Just kind of an organic feel to creation. I remember if I read it or if I watched it, but did he do a remix for the band that you were in? So it really is in like an organic process. This wasn't like some sort of long formulation to make this happen.
No, he did a remix for my old band, and we thought it was awesome. So there was a kind of vague idea that we would write some songs for my old band, but the songs that we wrote were very much had their own identity. So we were very curious about that and kind of honoured that and wrote more songs just for no reason. And then George's manager at the time pointed out that they were quite interesting and that we should try and do more.
You weren't sure that they were interesting before?
No, we were just like, this was fun, and we made a song.
Your pop music, I guess is what it qualifies and constitutes as, but I'd say it's just sort of like ambiguous electronic pop soul. Like, how do you describe your sound? I know artists don't like to do that, but what would you sum it up as?
I guess we wouldn't describe the sound, we would just describe our intentions, which is to start with something that we find unusual or unique and rein that in, pull it together with songwriting skills that we've learned from other previous, songwriters, and make some kind of balance. And we're never achieving it fully, in our opinion. So we're continually striving for that perfect balance between weird and recognizable.
I guess what I'm getting at is genre dead?
Genres will always live on because we have to describe music to each other, if you haven't heard it. And I think we'll continue. It's kind of a fun game to try and stick something in a genre. When we first started, we would get genres that had like 5 different parts to them. And I don't know if anyone has found a genre to fit us into, but there are a lot of more musicians heading towards that kind of, I guess, soulful electronic music, as you were saying. So we have some friends, at least.
That's good. It needs a scene in order for it to like really catch fire like that. So being a leader of that scene, a big part of that scene is, your smash hit, at least here. It has kind of an interesting story. You like it. The original version came out quite some time ago, and in its own regard was successful, but maybe didn't get the same kind of traction here in America that it got overseas. What was the process of how you got to the version that most people are aware of, which is the DJ Snake remix? Is that something that happened organically? Was it a commissioned remix? Or how did you get from your project with your single to where we've arrived now with this big smash hit?
Well, we've always been known for our remixes because we keep our ear to the ground for interesting production that's out there. It's just something we really enjoy, to put our music in hands of another peer and see what they can do with it. And we're always looking for that surprising switch up.
You're kind of known, you have a somewhat unique vocal tone that's kind of a little bit difficult to describe. It's like things that usually contradict each other, where it's like a comforting airiness but also soulfulness to it and like authenticity. Is that something that you always naturally had as a tone, or was it something that you kind of developed and found your voice getting more comfortable as an artist over time?
It's definitely something that I developed. I think I started off like any young girl, just copying other artists and seeing how near I can get, and that was kind of fun, but gave me no real challenge. When I started working with the band, just like before, the musical sort of endeavors I was in before were much more kind of rock or indie rock orientated, and what that gave me was like the ability to express myself in a kind of much freer kind of way than I found with traditional kind of the R&B from the 90s. Because I found a lot of that very much sexually orientated. You have to be like lovely and smooth, or like really like sassy or something like that. And I found that really restrictive. I wanted to be like weird or like very emotional or hard or tough. And that's where I was exploring my voice. But then in the band before Aluna George, we were doing a lot of improvisation, and a lot of the stuff I would do was accidental singing. And he would point that out and be like, that's cool, like you should just allow your natural voice to come out. And that was really inspiring for me, and that's where I kind of developed the kind of, I guess, the style of singing that you hear now, which is like not very perfect and not traditionally strong, but has my character within it.
I remember hearing you and George both talk about that a lot of what attracted you guys as artists, music makers, were, we're very beat oriented and, bass heavy and experimental as well. But I actually have found like the lyrical content to be a huge part of the music, not just in sense of melody and rhythm, but the lyrics itself. Do you write the lyrics to the songs?
I do, yeah.
So like particularly, I remember the first time I heard it, even with the original release, and it really stuck with me. It's never left me. Is, life can be cruel if you're a dreamer. Like, could you kind of elaborate what that means to you and what the song means in general?
I mean, I've been a dreamer in my life, and I always will be. And reality bites when you're trying to make your dreams come true, and you do have to constantly pop your head out and realize that you've got no money, you've got no prospects, nobody wants to listen to your music, only you and maybe the person that you're working with. And that reality is, that's like tough. And you think you're going mad because you're only doing this for some final destination where somebody somewhere is going to be like, I enjoy listening to your music, it makes me feel good. And you're just like, Do you
feel that pressure though now to follow up on this big hit? Like, do you go into a studio thinking, oh, we gotta have a single that comes out of this session, or are you just making music, or what's the process like?
That hasn't changed, because when we wrote You Like It and then looked back on it, we've always seen that as a pivotal song to our sound, and we're always mindful of that being kind of what we're about. So and also because it didn't become a hit immediately anyway, so it's kind of beside the point.
In your catalog, do you have a favorite song of your own that you really attach to, like, even if it's not the one that blew up, or maybe it was, like, is there a favorite song, and why is it your favorite song?
I think Outlines is my favorite song. It was originally born out of trying to write about somebody else's experience, a tough experience for them, and then vicariously through that I was pulling from some experiences that I had, so it became this kind of relationship between mine and their feelings. And it's not a perfect song, but I feel like it captured something real to both of us.
A lot of your music feels real, so I imagine then you like a lot of your own music. Some artists don't like their own catalog. Do you enjoy listening to Aluna George music?
I actually don't listen to it that much. George has to listen to it hundreds of times. Production is about that. And I tend to write the song with him, and then once the vocals are done and we've kind of got that, I don't listen to it for a very long time.
Well, I love your music. We love your music. In fact, I am pretty sure, I'm very sure, I think 94.9 might have been the first station that was kind of added to rotation. We'll continue to get behind it. I know I have a mixed show, a specialty show called Rebel Pop Radio, where we're allowed to deviate from what's expected commercially, so we'll be big supporters. Thank you so much for coming out and do this. If we could just get one last word of advice for new artists or people who have been in the shoes that you were in not too long ago to where you've gotten at? Is there some message you'd like to impart? No pressure or anything, but if you could change their world and save their lives in one sentence.
Wow. You want me to use
No,
that?
I'll just mess with you.
I would say that every bit of kind of apparent challenge or bad luck you have is all part of the process. You just have to find a way to climb over it. Don't see it as a message that it's a bad idea and you should just go and be an accountant, unless you're really good at maths and you just want loads of money. So yeah, it comes with the territory.
I appreciate that, Dreamer Spirit. We're in the westernunion.com VIP Lounge. I'm Truth Live, Rebel Pop Radio, every Saturday, 12 to 2. Wild949.com. Thank you so much, Aluna of AlunaGeorge.
Thanks for having me. Hi, I'm Aluna from AlunaGeorge. Thanks for watching. Be sure to check out more exclusive interviews and live performances here on wild949.com.